Places.
We got the one places. Places. All right, we are live.
Is this microphone on?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is Lord Church Yate, Lord Church Inishe, Twadich Ini Nishle. Shaya Sena Jenny Bashes Ching Ado, Sinjikin Dashache, do Hatso the Ned Dashanale. We'd like to welcome you to tonight's service with Good Medicine Way. And we have a very wonderful service prepared for you. And we just want to give God all the glory in what we do this evening. And I am your MC, and I am nervous.
Tracy's laughing.
So bear with me if I totally mess up. There's other things I can do well, but here we go. I'm taking a healthy risk. So at this time, we would like to take some time and do a land acknowledgement and the 4 directions prayer. And if you're here for the very first time with Good Medicine Way, we also want to welcome you and thank you for joining us and come back again. And just to let you know that we are here in Albuquerque, but we also share our ministry not only in this area, but virtually. And so we have various people who attend from coast to coast in the north, south, west, east. And you're going to have a wonderful experience tonight because all of the ministry and all of the work that we do through Good Medicine Way is an opportunity where we can shine in the best way before the Lord by using our culture, our traditions, our teachings in a way that was originally created by our Creator. And so we want to reciprocate our relationship back to Him through the ways that we identify ourselves. So with that, I want to again welcome everybody, and those 2 here that are in person in Albuquerque. Thank you for coming. And I'm going to hand it off to Impedadaka to do our land acknowledgement and the 4 direction prayer.
All right, can you all hear me? All right. Yes, it is great to be joining everybody again for another beautiful week here. My birthday is coming up in 2 days. So yeah, anybody else celebrating birthdays? Happy birthday. My name is Mike Taguvin, Duayak, Monika Veni, Winnie Bominok, Palmi Dakyapi, Leam Paltuki, Yushkiana, Pechi Uzapi. Lewa Tiki El Diamani, Piana Diaglape, Noah Akito. Hello, everybody. My name is Kelsey Lubeth Monroe Jocko, also known as Umpedadaka here in this family circle. Like I said, it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you all tonight. I am coming to you from the ancestral homelands of our southern relatives, the Mexican people. I am currently in Fort Worth, Texas. My sister-in-law had a baby shower, so that's why we're down here in my husband's home territory. So, but let's see, the Comanche, I believe, were here, and I don't remember who else. But Albuquerque is homeland to the Tewa people, the Pueblo people. We have the Apache, the Ute, the Navajo. It's a very diverse area in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we're glad that everyone is able to join virtually and to be able to experience Albuquerque through your computer, through your phones. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the prayer. O great spirit, whose voice I hear in the winds, and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me I need your strength and wisdom. Help me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever hold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things that you have made, and my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise so that I may understand the things you have taught my people. Let me learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. Help me remain calm and strong in the face of all that comes towards me. Help me find compassion without empathy overwhelming me. I seek strength, not to be greater than my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes. So when life fades, as the fading sunset, my spirit can come to you without shame. Creator, it is I. Thank you for today's sunrise, for the breath and life within me, and for all your creations. Creator, hear my prayer and honor me. As the day begins with the rising sun, I ask Spirit Keeper of the East to be with me. Fly high as you carry my prayers to Creator Eagle. May I have eyes as sharp as yours, so I am able to see truth and hope on the path I have chosen. Guide my steps and give me strength or give me courage to walk the circle of my life with honesty and dignity. Spirit Keeper of the South, Wolf, be with me. Help me to remember to love and feel compassion for all mankind. Help me to walk my path with joy and love for myself, for others, the four-legged, the winged ones, the plants, and all creation upon Mother Earth. Show me it is right for me to make decisions with my heart, even if at times my heart becomes hurt. Help me to grow and nurture my self-worth in all ways. Spirit Keeper of the West, Brown Bear, be with me. Bring healing to the people I love and to myself. Bring into balance the physical, mental, and spiritual, so I am able to know my place on this earth, in life and in death. Heal my body, heal my mind, and bring light, joy, and awareness to my spirit. Spirit Keeper of the North, White Buffalo, be with me. As each day passes, help me to surrender with grace the things of my youth. Help me to listen to the quiet and find serenity and comfort in the silences as they become longer. Give me wisdom so I am able to make wise choices in all things which are put in front of me. And when time for my change of worlds has come, let me go peacefully without regrets for the things I neglected to do as I walked along my path. Mother Earth, thank you for your beauty and for all you have given me. Remind me to never take from you more than I need, and remind me to always give back more than I take. Thank you, Heavenly Father, and I just wanted to say I love you and just thank you for this moment, Heavenly Father. I ask all these things in your Son Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. You're doing great, Laura, by the way.
Thank you. That was only step 2. Thank you. That was an amazing prayer. Thank you. I know we feel your heartfelt prayers and your words, and we appreciate that, Empedadaka. Now we're going to hear some music, worship music by the Grovers, and I'll turn it over to Leah and Brian, who are amazing musicians.
All right. You get the words up here so you can follow along. We're trying a few different arrangement things tonight, so hopefully everything will work correctly. But all right. Let's see. And then we need to be okay.
ourselves and live through your death, then we shall be born again to be blessed in your love. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Let me be like you in all my ways. Give me your strength. Teach me your song. Shelter me in the shadow of your wings. For we are your righteousness. If we've died to ourselves and lived through your death, then we shall be born again to be blessed in your love.
This is a way that we clap virtually. Thank you, Brian and Leah. Like I said, they are amazing. And their first song was entitled Create in Me. And this last song is called Powwow 61. So thank you. It was wonderful. I also see, with the lyrics on the monitor, there is one statement there that says, God hears our prayer even when we're at the ends of the earth. And I think all of us have been in situations or circumstances where sometimes we think, is God really hearing my prayer? Does it seem like sometimes it just goes to the ceiling and then comes back down? But rest assured that He is a kind, wonderful, loving God that hears our prayer. And it's just not stuck on the ceiling, but it goes to the beyond the heavens. And we have that assurance. And so I wanted to just, it touched me on that last song that, God speaks to us even through songs and lyrics. And He also speaks to us through creation, which slides right into our next part of our worship time is creation insights. And this is an opportunity where a person would share that may reflect how God spoke to them in creation. And so I'd like to pass this to Preston Jones. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. First, I'm going to start off with the Bible verse. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Preston Jones. I'm on the homelands of my ancestral homelands here in Peru, New Mexico, the Diné lands, the Diné peoples, or Navajo. So the Bible verse is, whoever sows sparingly will reap sparingly. Whoever sows generously will reap generously. So yesterday, my brother was outside hoeing weeds and everything, and taking care of the lawn and making sure that everything was going smooth and cleaning. But years ago, Heather and I threw out some alfalfa seeds, because alfalfa is good for not only for the land as a grass for plants and animals, but it also is really good to put nitrogen back in the land. So if you are corn planters or anything that takes nitrogen, that nitrogen needs to go back and replenish and help refurbish the land, and it makes it sticky too, so it doesn't wash away as easy. So my brother was pulling the weeds, and what he thought was weeds was actually alfalfa. So, but in the end, it just makes me understand that sometimes in our own personal lives, we hold the things that we don't supposed to take out of our lives. What we think is so harmful of ourselves, we are doing more harm because those things are actually supposed to help us. Like, for example, when we accidentally stop taking medication, we think we're better. I don't need this anymore. But instead, it's like, you still need to go to the doctor, talk to the doctor, and make sure. But a lot of people just end up just going cold turkey and getting off of those things. And which is really hard for a lot of people to understand, like, no, you need to probably have this for the rest of your life, or you need to understand how to live with something of these conditions. When we are trying to replenish and put things back in ourselves, we are trying to make sure that we are growing something to give back and be generously to others, and make sure that they can be at an abundance. And that also helps to make it more nutrition, having better nutrition value, have higher, better taste. you can actually really taste different plants. Like if you go to a certain flower and pick a little thing out of it and start sucking on it, it's a nectar that you can bring out. That nectar becomes sweeter if you start taking care of the land too. We're missing out on a lot of things that can make us sweeter, can make us more loving and more kind. And those things are probably little simple things like spending moments with God, spending moments in nature, and just enjoying every moment of our lives. And when I look at the land, it's just like, we need to do so much. And it needs a lot of things. One of the things we've been praying for is water. If you haven't heard, there has been a lot of floodings lately, which is awesome, which is great because it's also going to give back to the land and help replenish and all the things that have been lost. But it will also bring less ease and help people that are actually planting and help them be able to grow their own things without having to spend so much time. So they can use that time to spend to stow into their own families, to their own loved ones. And while God is doing the work of watering the plants and taking care of that one small thing. And right now we're getting dark clouds and having almost the rain come, and I'm excited. So that will bring some nutrition and water for the alfalfa. Super excited that not only will this help, but when we cut it, we can actually rake it up and give it to the sheep. You know, so I'm pretty excited to keep you guys updated. Back to you, Laura.
Okay, yeah, Preston. So now we're going to turn our attention to Miss Leah McCoo. She is teaching us sign language, and we support through Good Medicine Way the First Nations version, New Testament version of the Bible. And Leah has been helping us learn, excuse me, sign language, and more particularly the Lord's Prayer out of Matthew 6, verses 9 through 13. So if we can turn our attention to Leah and practice ourselves with the Lord's Prayer from her, who's our amazing teacher, Miss McCoo.
Okay, are you ready? Ready? Good, yes. Okay. Oh, great Spirit. Come on. Our Father from above. We're learning this in sign language, so you have to do the sign language too. We honor your name as sacred and holy. Bring your good road to us, where the beauty of your ways in the spirit world above is reflected in the earth below. Provide for us day by day the elk, the buffalo, and the salmon. The corn, the squash, and wild rice. All the things we need for each day. Release us from the things we have done wrong. In the same way, we release others for the things done wrong to us. Guide us away from the things that tempt us to stray from your good road, and set us free. Set us free from the evil one and his worthless ways. Aho, may it be so.
And Mr. Hawk, Dan Hawk, we saw you too, so you'll have to come back and we'll all show one another our progress. Okay, and now we have smoke signals, and this is an opportunity where we share community announcements. And Leah will introduce us and start us off with some announcements.
Yep, and if you have any announcements that you'd like to say, or if you'd like us to read, you can put them in the chat. And I'll begin with the first one, which is to invite all the women to our book discussion group, which is Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going through Robin Wall Kimmerer's Braiding Sweetgrass book. She's a there's the cover. And she's a Potawatomi woman who went to college and majored in environmental science. But so in this book, she blends that, Western science about the environment with her own indigenous, what her Potawatomi elders taught her about how to live in reciprocity with creation, our relatives' creation. And so the way that she weaves these together is just like a beautiful symphony poetry. It's really a delight to read. So yes, all the ladies are welcome to come Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and we put that event on our Good Medicine Way Facebook group up there at the top left. You click on Browse and then Events. And there's Jane to do the men's book discussion group.
Yes, join us for our men's book discussion group. We are working our way through Randy Woodley's Mission and the Cultural Other, just about to start chapter 5. So still plenty of time to join us. Sunday afternoons, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you're interested, please contact me or reach out to Uncle Casey, and we would be glad to have you join us.
All right. Any more? In any of the chats?
I have one.
Yeah, go for it, Casey.
Yeah, just to let you know that up here in Michigan, been working with a former pastor of the Indian churches, Todd Williamson, and one of the local traditional native families, Steve Pigo and his wife. We'll be putting together a meal and a time. It's called Indian Taco and Encouraging Words. So that's the name. That's the name of the group we're starting. And it's a time for us to experience how we can get together as Anishinaabe people in ceremony and how that goes with our Christian ways. So it's a new thing that we're starting, and it's going to be meeting at some of the tribal grounds up here. It says, bring your good energy and your sema. That's tobacco. We encourage you to wear your ribbon shirts, your skirts, and bring your feast bundle. I don't know if many of you know what that is, but it's bringing your own dishware. So that's something that some communities up here do because they want to be eco-friendly. So when we get done with the dinner, there is no trash. There is no plastic, styrofoam, just, anything we throw in the trash. Everybody takes their plate, rinses it off, and takes it home with them. They come to the meal like that. So we're going to try to incorporate traditional ways along with understanding who we are as Native people and as believers. So that's happening on May 2nd, coming up.
Announcement I'd like to share today, which is the fourth Monday of April for us as Navajos or Diné people. Today is considered our Sovereignty Day, and it's a time to recognize our self-governance. And back in 1986, there was a U.S. Supreme Court case called Kerr-McGee versus Navajo Nation. And in that particular case, the Supreme Court held that Navajo Nation has the right to excise tax against, in this case, Kerr-McGee, and that imposing taxes is also one of the features of self-governance. And so we celebrate today, actually, every day is Sovereignty Day. But today we recognize it with Navajo Nation, so I wanted to just share that information, a little tidbit of information for you in case there's a trivia question. You could say the fourth Monday in April is Navajo Sovereignty Day.
Oh, all right.
Okay, any other announcements that you?
Yes, I raised my hand a minute ago. Sorry, I'm currently driving right now, but I wanted to announce that the Gathering of Nations powwow is this next weekend, and we have two other powwows going on in the Albuquerque area. So if you all are around the area, definitely check it out. It's awesome. There's beautiful display of like artistry, dances, and everybody just shares their culture together, and it's very beautiful. So just wanted to say that. Check out stage 49 too.
All right then, Elisa.
Yes, if anyone knows someone that likes to teach the Dene language, I'm looking for a teacher. So if you know one, please contact me. I'm going to put my email in the chat because I would like to learn the language. I've learned Hebrew, I've learned few other languages, and I know this is going to be a challenge, but with the Lord's help, all things can be done. So I'm just going to put it out there and test my fish out there and see what comes back. Hopefully not a shark.
Okay, any other announcements or
I thought Christina had her hand up.
Christina?
Christina.
That was an accidental hand raise, but I'll be reading the scripture in a little bit.
Okay. So now we'd like to turn our attention to the giveaway. And our good friend here who's sitting to my left is Ken. Want to say hello?
Hello.
We want to set time in our worship for a giveaway. And you know, what has been taught to myself and our family is a giveaway is an opportunity to think about what we have received and what we can give away. And that we intentionally think about when we have an item that we're going to give away, we're thinking of that person who's going to be the recipient of this gift. And in various ceremonies and social gatherings, there are giveaways and there's protocols to that. But we want to transfer those teachings to a time where in other churches, it's where they give tithes and offerings. But for Good Medicine Way, we want to not only think about what can we give, and it's not necessarily money, but it's a time to think about what can we give, what we can lay down on. In this case, we have like a blanket that we want to give for the ministry of Good Medicine Way. And Good Medicine Way is the recipient of our gifts. Whether it's monetary, doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be money. It could be food. We here in Albuquerque, we have a potluck, and wish you were here in Albuquerque because we had an amazing dinner. Sometimes people lay down cans of food, soup, fruit, vegetables from the garden, jewelry, pairs of earrings, because sometimes we set up an outreach table, and if we sell those items, that would go back to the ministry. So we just wanted to begin to create that space within our worship time where we do have a giveaway. And Ken, our good friend here, is going to lay a blanket down on the floor for you yourselves in the virtual community. You know, if you want to give monetarily.
We have a virtual blanket for them too.
Oh, do you?
With a
Oh,
QR
that's
code,
right.
yeah.
Can you explain that, Brian?
Okay, sure. So
You can show it.
yeah, we'll get to it. The easiest way to give to Good Medicine Way, if you're not in the area, is through PayPal. And so on the Good Medicine Way Facebook page, right near the top, there's a link that you can hit, and that takes you to a little thing that will get you to the PayPal. But what we're going to do is, so we're laying down the blanket in person here. So we're going to put up a virtual blanket, and it has a QR code on it. And if we did everything right, you should be able to scan that QR code, and that will also take you to the PayPal link to give, if you'd like to give in that way. And we're going to be singing a song during all that. So if you don't feel led to give and you just want to kick back and listen to the song, you're perfectly welcome to do that as well. Anything else to say? No? All right. let me
Great. So
see.
Ken will lay the blanket down, and Brian will show the virtual blanket.
Yeah, we'll get the virtual blanket up there.
Oh, look at that.
Very cool.
Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. circle is a rainbow, and all its colors are shining in the sun. Sorrow is turned into dancing, and all our tears to the sound of the drum. Hey, ya, ya, way, ya, way, ya, hey, yo, way. Yo, way, ya, hey, ya, yo, way. Ya, way, ya, way, ya, way, yo, way. Yo, way, ya, hey, ya, yo, way. All directions they come dancing. The earth lies under their feet. From every nation they come dancing, praising Creator with the beat. Hey, ya, ya, way, ya, way, ya, way, yo, way. Yo, way, ya, hey, ya, yo, way. Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Yahweh, 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 Yahweh.
Ooh.
Great. Yay. And we have the blanket here. Thank you, everyone who was able to give. And for those who were not, that's fine. No pressure. We are very thankful that you are present with us here this evening. And may you all be richly blessed. So now, as Christina had mentioned earlier, she is going to share the reading of the word, and this comes from Ezekiel. Christina?
Yeah, good to be with you tonight. Blessings to you all in Albuquerque and home. I'm en route to my little brother's concert. He's gonna be playing with his choir at school, so that's why I'm on the road. But I have Ezekiel open. I don't have my First Nations translation, but I have the NIV here. So I'm going to go ahead and read it from Ezekiel 37, the Valley of Dry Bones. The hand of the Lord was on me, and he brought me out by the Spirit of the Lord. And he set me in the middle of a valley. It was full of bones. He led me back and forth among them, and I saw great bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were very dry. He asked me, Son of man, can these bones live? I said, Sovereign Lord, you alone know. Then he said to me, prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. And this is what the sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make breath enter you, and you will come to life. I will attach tendons to you and make flesh come up and cover you with skin. I will put breath in you, and you will come to life, and you will know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded. As I was prophesying, there was a noise, a rattling sound, and the bones came together, bone by bone. I looked, and the tendons and flesh appeared on them, and skin covered them, yet there was no breath in them. Then he said to me, prophesy to the breath, prophesy, son of man, and say to it, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Come, breath from the four winds, and breathe into the slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath entered them, and they came to life, and they stood on their feet, a vast army. Then he said to me, son of man, these bones are the people of Israel. They say, our bones are dried up, and our hope is gone, and we are cut off. Therefore prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. My people, I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel. Then you, my people, will know that I am the Lord. When I open your graves and bring you up from them, I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will settle you in your own land. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have spoken, and I have done it, declares the Lord. Isaiah 37, 1 through 14.
So now we'll go into a stillness time with Brian playing the flute. After his flute song, then Casey will introduce our speaker for the evening. And after the speaker speaks, Brian will do a closure song, a stillness song with the flute again. So, Brian.
All right, thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. We'll do the stillness time so that we can prepare our hearts for our speaker that's coming up. And today we have a friend of ours, Dan Hawk, and he's professor of Old Testament Hebrew at Ashland Theological Seminary, a former professor and seminary college in Louisiana. So he's traveled a bit. But I'll tell a little story about Dan. Kimberly Medicine Horn and myself, about 7 years ago, we traveled to Cleveland, Ohio. And there was 2 churches there that invited us to do a Native American program and talk about her life and then the ministry that I was doing. And Dan was a kind of a instigator behind this, and he helped pull this all together. Kimberly was able to share her story, and they said, I asked them how much time I got, and they said, whatever you need. So for the next 2.5 hours, I talked there, and I still had more to share, and they were very open to it. It was one of the first times that I did a pipe ceremony, taught that, and prayed for the people, and we did that in a courtyard in a church in Cleveland there. And Dan was a part of this and made it all happen. So Dan, I want to give more time to you so you can introduce yourself as well. So our speaker, Dan Popp.
Well, thank you, Casey. I just want to say what a rich blessing it is to be invited into this gathering. My soul is already nourished, and I just I'm so thankful and honored and humbled to receive your invitation to speak. I'm speaking to you from the ancestral homeland of the Erie Nation, and there were also Lenni Lenape and Natawaga, the Seneca people here too. But I thank you so much for this opportunity. It's good to see Kimberly again and Casey, and to meet new friends. So I've been here in Ohio I've been teaching here for 28 years. So I guess I'm a resident for this time. And I live here with my wife, Linda, who is an elementary school music teacher. I'm actually the child and grandchild and brother and father and uncle of musicians. So that kind of goes in our family. And my son is a percussionist. So I think he would be really blessed by hearing the worship here today. So I'll just share. I want to share just a little bit about my own journey before I talk about Ezekiel and the prophets. So I'm an academic. I'm in recovery. So I've got my Academics Anonymous meeting here in a couple of evenings. So let me practice. Hi, I'm Dan. I'm an academic.
Hi, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel included. So but I did a lot of my work on the book of Joshua in the Old Testament. And probably about 20 years ago, I had some friends approach me and say, you need to do something more than just write for the eggheads. You need to take this work and you need to bring it down onto the ground and think about how you might use your knowledge and your skill to bring about some teaching and healing. And so I thought, well, how do I do that? And so that began a time of thinking and praying for me. And I began to see in the book of Joshua parallels with the story of my own country, the United States. And that raised a lot of very difficult questions. So I'm not at a loss for speaking. So I just began speaking in churches and places and anywhere that would have me here in Ohio and say, and just try to get people, and particularly the church, to say, I think there's some deep wounds that we need to talk about. And we need to find a way to address these wounds and to live together and to go forward in a good way. And so that took me into, we had some friends, actually had some friends who came to some of these talks who were Indigenous, and that got me into some Indigenous spaces. And when I entered those spaces, I don't know how I can describe it, but I found my soul refreshed. I felt nourished and filled, and so I've been on this journey. I just try to go where the Lord takes me, tells me to go, and seems like I'm having some opportunities these days to talk and think. So I met one of these places. I met Terry Wildman. I've been privileged to be a part of the First Nations version, Proverbs, along with Kim, the Translation Council for Proverbs, and Psalms. And so I function there as, I guess, the Hebrew geek. So I know the Hebrew language. And so, Terry and I can go back and forth, and he'll say, well, here's what I'm thinking. And I'll say, well, I think they're thinking, I think they would say it this way. I think this is the idea. So it's just been such a privilege to be part of this endeavor. And I so much look forward to seeing it published and seeing it being received by the people of God, and particularly by Indigenous readers. So I'm going to look with you at Ezekiel chapter 37. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this vision that Ezekiel had, and I'm going to share it because it's what the Lord has, what Creator has continued to impress upon my heart when I asked, what am I to say? I don't know most of these people. I know they will be accepting and warm and welcoming. What should I say? And this continues to have pressed on my heart. So I think I just want to move forward. Do I have the opportunity to share the screen? I think I do. Wonderful. Okay. So Ezekiel, prophets. A lot of people, I've discovered a lot of Christians, in a sense, don't read the prophets often, because often we don't know what to do with them. We don't know what to make of them. And so I hope in the next few minutes, I think I'm going to walk through this vision with you, because and unpack it and talk about it, talk a little bit about translation, try to hit a lot of different things. And maybe the Spirit will speak to you as we go through this. So Ezekiel was both a prophet and a priest, and he had visions. One of the things you'll notice when you read the books of the prophets in the Old Testament is, excuse me, a lot of them begin with a saying like this: "This is the vision of Isaiah, son of Amos." And then it's all speeches. So you say, well, how is it a vision if what I read are speeches? And it's a way of saying, I think, that prophets, the prophets are keenly concerned with the way that we see, because the world around us tempts us to see things in certain ways. And the prophets want us to bring us back to see things from God's perspective. They always have a way of helping us see differently. So I want to begin with Ezekiel. Ezekiel begins his prophetic, or was to begin his prophetic ministry in what he says is the 30th year. Now, we don't know what the 30th year of that means, but it probably is the 30th year of his birth, when he would have been eligible to begin his service as a priest in Jerusalem. And he didn't get to do that because let's see if I can get the screen up here. No, that's not right. Let me see if I can get this right. So you probably, do you all see a Zoom screen there instead of what I want you to see, or do you see a map?
We see a map.
Oh, you see a map?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Syria, Babylonia.
Okay. Wonderful. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, because I'm seeing a Zoom screen. Anyway, I'll figure it out. So, so this is a map of the ancient world, the ancient Near East. And you may see Jerusalem right kind of left of center and down in the lower quadrant. So in the year 597, the Babylonian emperor, 597 BC, so almost 600 years before the birth of Jesus, the Babylonian emperor Nebuchadnezzar II conquered the city of Jerusalem, and he removed many of the people from the city, and he made them walk. It was a journey of about 3 months. He removed them from their city and their homeland, and he made them walk to the other side of the world, to a very strange place, to the heart of Babylon itself. And he put them to work in that place, and he subjugated them. And so Ezekiel, this is the story of Ezekiel as he was coming to the place where he could begin his service as a priest. He was one of the ones who were taken into exile and removed from his land and subjected to this horrible journey of about 3 months. Trying to hold on a second. I'm sorry for my screen is locking up. Okay. So the people were taken from their lands. They had to take this walk of 3 months. They had seen horrible things because the Babylonians were a cruel people. And they were taken to a land that was completely foreign. Their homes were destroyed. Their families were shattered. They had seen unspeakable things. And whole families were taken into exile. So it was a very tragic thing to undergo. And when the people got there, they had lost hope. Well, that's not quite right. A lot of them came to believe that God would not let them stay there, that Creator would somehow take the Babylonians and defeat them and bring them back to their home so that everything would be like it was before. And there were prophets among the people who were saying that and were telling the people to hope, because if they would just be faithful, then their God would come back and restore them to their way of life that once was. And Ezekiel was a prophet who had a different message. And many of Ezekiel's prophecies had to do with trying to convince the people that they were going to have to stay in exile, away from their homeland for many generations. And this was not a popular message. So many of Ezekiel's prophecies, if you read the first 35 chapters of the book, he's basically talking again and again and again in as many ways as he can to try to get the people to understand that it would be a long time before they would get to return home. And so this particular vision that I want to take you through is a vision that Ezekiel has after the people receive the news that Jerusalem itself has been destroyed and the rest of the people are going to be joining them in exile. So there were a number of removals, exiles from Judah during this time. And Ezekiel was in the first, but there were others, and the homeland was destroyed. So here's an old picture of Babylon that was taken by a drone. And so we know it's authentic. But anyway, so here are the people of God, and they are taken into a city and into a culture that tells them in every way that this culture is superior, that this empire has control, that there is really no hope for them, and they had better just give up and accept their fate. And so that's the situation that Ezekiel is speaking to in one of these visions, and in this particular vision of the dry bones. And so I'm going to be reading from my own translation. You can think of it as the Living Hawk version. So here we go. Yahweh's power overwhelmed me. It lifted me up by Yahweh's spirit. He made me motionless in the middle of a plain. The plain was full, was bones. He circled me round and round. Look, there were so many on the surface of the plain, and they were very dry. So a lot of your translations will have something like, the Spirit set me down in a valley of bones. But that's really, there are a couple of problems with that. One of the problems is that that's not really what the Hebrew word refers to. The Hebrew verb refers to being rendered motionless. So Ezekiel is saying, in a sense, I'm hovering above this valley, and I'm circling around by the wind of God. So it's almost as if he's experiencing this this visit to this valley of these bones like a vulture is. He's circling around it. He's looking down at this plain that is just filled with bones that are dry. We might look at the same bones, by the way, and we say those are bleached because we're attuned to color in our culture. But the Israelites were attuned to water. So when you say bones are very, very dry, they have absolutely no life in them at all. One of the other things that slips through here in what Ezekiel is also saying is that the verbs in the first part of this vision that have to do with what Creator is doing are very strong and very active, whereas all of the references to Ezekiel and to the valley have to do with motionless, nothing happening. So you've got Creator's powerful activity and this static, horrible scene of a plain filled with bones, and the wind taking a motionless Ezekiel around and around and around, so that he has to look at this awful sight. And then Creator asks him, human being, can these bones come to life? That's a trick question. And here's why it's a trick question. Prophetic power, spiritual power, requires a lot of attention so that it doesn't take you over. One of the problems that Israel experiences with prophets is that spiritual power can become so much that the prophets begin to believe that it's their power, and they can do with that power whatever they want. And so in ancient Israel, a false prophet is not so much detected in what the prophet says, but in who the prophet is. And if the prophet is someone who acts as if they have the power in themselves and they can use this power from Creator in any way that they want to, then that's someone you should stay away from. So you see why Creator asks the question then to Ezekiel, and you see why it's a trick question. Can these bones come to life? And Ezekiel says in return, Lord Yahweh, only you know. So it's a test. Can these bones live? You know. Not I. I will not say. I cannot say. So there is a humility here that is important for Creator to be able to know whether this is someone that Creator can trust with the power to speak a powerful vision. So since Ezekiel has answered rightly, Creator says this: prophesy over these bones, say to them, dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh. They sound a little strange. Why are you speaking to bones that have no ears and no life? Prophesy to the bones. This is what Lord Yahweh says to these bones. I'm about to put breath inside you, and you will come back to life. I will put sinews on you, place muscle on you, cover you with skin. Then I will put breath in you, and you will come back to life. Then you'll realize that I am Yahweh. Prophesy to the bones. I'm about to take the bones and reassemble them, put my breath back into them, and bring them back to life. And then that last saying, you'll realize then, or you will know that I am Yahweh, or I am the Lord. Scholars call that last sentence the recognition formula. It occurs often in the Old Testament as a way of God alerting people to pay attention, to pay particular attention to what is about to happen, because God is going to do something that no earthly power can do, that will show that there is a Creator who is all powerful and deeply involved with the creation. So, for example, in the book of Exodus, during the plagues, God tells Moses to unleash plagues so that the Egyptians will know that I am Yahweh, and that Israel will know that I am Yahweh, that human beings do not have ultimate power, only Creator. So Ezekiel reports, I prophesied just as I was commanded. And there was a noise while I was prophesying. Look, shaking. The bones moved towards each other, bone to bone. And I looked, and suddenly there were sinews on them, and flesh appeared. And then they were covered all over with skin, but there wasn't any breath in them. This may remind you of the story of creation. And if it does, you're following Ezekiel well. So you'll remember that we're told in Genesis chapter 2 that Creator made a human creature from the clay of the ground, molded it into a human being. Matter of fact, the word human being, Adam, is a word play on the word for soil, which is Adamah. So there's a really good English translation for Adam, but science fiction has ruined it. The best translation of the name Adam is earthling. We're from the earth. But you'll remember that Creator creates Adam, but it is not until Creator breathes into the human being that the human being becomes a living being. And so there's an illusion back here. There's a thinking back. So Creator creates, Yahweh creates all of these disconnected bones into bodies once again, but there was no breath in them. The creation story, by the way, and that breathing of breath is a reminder that every breath we take is a gift from our Creator. It is our Creator who gives us life. It is Creator who sustains us by breathing into us. so many times during the day. So Creator says to Ezekiel, now prophesy to the breath. This is what Lord Yahweh says. Come from the four winds. Can you see Ezekiel standing in all four directions? This is what Yahweh says. Come from the four winds. Breathe, O breath. Breathe into these murdered people, and they will come back to life. So there's a couple of things going on here. First of all, I want to bring us back here to this report that while Ezekiel is prophesying, a shaking happens. Sometimes we think that prophetic words are just predictions, but God's word has power. Creator's word has power. You'll remember the first chapter of Genesis. How does God create? God creates by speech. God's speech is creative. God's speech brings things together into wholeness and unity. And so God's speech, in a way, prophecies aren't just predictions. Prophecies bring into action what God is willing and saying. So we see that reflected here. So we've got the bones now ready, assembled into people. And for the first time, we're told about who these bones are. They are people who have met a violent end. And Yahweh says to his prophet, they'll come back to life. So what he's been looking at is a scene where people have been killed violently. It's a horrible scene, but in his vision, Yahweh brings them back together, says to the prophet, I want you to speak my words, and my people will come back to life. So Ezekiel says, I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath came into them, and they came back to life and stood on their feet. They were a very, very great and powerful people. So it's a vision that begins with just a horrible scene and ends with Yahweh bringing the people back to life and giving them very great power. And then the punchline. Yahweh says to Ezekiel, human being, these bones, they are the entire family of Israel. Look, they keep saying to me, our bones are dried up and our hope has gone out from us. We've been cut into tiny pieces. So Creator has been listening to the people. He knows how they see themselves. He knows their sense of being as if they were cut into tiny pieces. And so he has given a vision that speaks directly to what they've been saying amongst themselves, their sense of discouragement. And he says now, prophesy and say to them, this is what Lord Yahweh says. Look, I'm opening your graves. I'll lift you out of your graves, my people, and I will bring you to the land that sustains Israel. That word land is not the usual word for land. It's land that sustains the people. It's the type of land that is fertile and nourishing. You will realize that I am Yahweh when I open your graves and lift you out of your graves, my people. I will put my breath in you. You will come back to life, and I will set you down on the land that sustains you. You will realize I am Yahweh. I've spoken, and I will do this. I'm done speaking. So there's a good reason why the church has always looked at this vision and said, this shows us a picture of what God intends for us as a human community, not death, but life. The resurrection is a sign of hope in a God who says, who listens to us, who understands when we feel disconnected and when we feel discouraged and we feel out of place. Even a whole culture, a whole Christian culture that seems to feel like it's in a strange place. All of those times in which we feel that nothing fits together, and everything is dry and dead and lifeless and without hope in our lives. Even so, this is a text that reminds us as the people of God that our Creator knows what we're saying. Our Creator is listening, and our Creator will work to change and enter actively into the circumstances of our lives in order to bring us into a deeper vision of who we are. We are a people of hope. We are a people of life. And we are called by our Creator to see the way our Creator sees us. Our Creator is at work. Our Creator is with us. Our Creator listens. Our Creator has determined and spoken life and breath for us, and not discouragement and disappointment and confusion. So that's what I have to say as we work through Ezekiel. I thank you for listening.
All right, so we're gonna have let me do another little flute bit, just so we can kind of sit with what Dan brought to us, and then we'll open it up for questions and responses. All right. So, yeah, any questions, comments, insights, personal stories that it reminds you of? The floor is open. Go ahead, Diane.
I don't think I have a question, but I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Dan Hawk. But I did, and I put this in the chat, that I've never heard that passage explained the way you explained it at all. I wish you would have gone even farther, because I know there's so much more. But to have it, to connect it to the creation of Adam, and to connect it to Father's love for us, and trying to, in this story, trying to tell us, here's what I want to do. Here's, it just made me think that's something I've never thought about throughout the whole Bible, is that he's just continually trying to tell us, I love you. I want to have a relationship. I want to love on you. I want to bless you. And it was just beautiful. And I thank you very much. And I'll add one little caveat, because you said you felt so welcome here and so happy to be here. We'd love to see you come back, even just as one of the crowd. Just come back any Monday night you want to. We're always here. That's all. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Life can be rough. And sometimes it can lead us to think things about ourselves that can be very discouraging. So thank you for your insights. Yes, I see that virtual hand. Dennis.
Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing that. When Christine read the text first, and then you went into depth. It just brought some memories back of some things that God had spoken to me many years ago, and we just going through that step by step. It just really meant a lot to me, and it just really spoke to my heart. I don't have any questions or anything, but I just wanted you to know that it was really profound, and I was really blessed by the word tonight. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? I am, one thing I am curious about, Dan, is because you said that when you started looking at those passages that you saw some parallels with the Native American experience, and you didn't delve into that too much in your talk. So I'm just wondering if there was anything in this specific story that stands out as a parallel for you.
Well, thank you. I try to stay in my own lane and tell my own stories and let others make connections. But I draw the connection. If I'm drawing the connection with Indigenous experience, I draw the connection between the sense of being displaced and just to hear this deep word of encouragement from Creator and from the Spirit that all those who have endured such, or are the descendants of, or themselves have endured displacement and discouragement and all of the, frankly, all of the hurtful things that an imperial power can do to vulnerable people, that the Creator deeply, deeply loves those who, particularly his people, deeply loves those, deeply cares about those who have been torn apart, and whose homes and families for generations have been cut to pieces. And if one was inclined to draw parallels, I would see that parallel in the promise of the Creator to send breath into the people who have been bruised and brutalized. And I hear the word of promise and resurrection and new life being the message that Creator speaks to people who have endured much pain. If that makes any sense. I've probably gone outside my lane, but that's where I went.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Lisa.
Yes, I so enjoyed your whole, just everything you shared, and I couldn't help but go into another lane thinking about the Holocaust and everything that the people went through and all those dry bones in those camps, and that today we have a country that is alive and well and is living, and taking from there and looking at the native and indigenous people that have gone through many similar things that we're talking about now, how they were pushed onto basically prison camps, if I can call it that, and pushed into religions that were not their own, and told that they couldn't speak their own languages. And here today, we're seeing them come back and becoming stronger than they were before. And that life is coming back into those bones. And I'm excited by that. It's nice to be at this place, to be at the beginning of this and to see it coming was hard. I'm sure for those people, it was hard to think that how many generations was it going to take? But being now at the ending and seeing that things are changing, things are getting better, and there's a new wave of generation happening, it's exciting. So thank you for sharing all that you did, even in just the time that you had.
This is our message, isn't it? I mean, there are so many people around the world who are even now bearing, just unbelievable burdens and dealing with incredible wounds. And we have good news to share. The Creator is, we have a God who can do above and beyond anything that human beings can accomplish. And we have a God who will initiate and who will save and who will bring life to those who feel like they have no life, that their life is gone, their hope is gone, their hope is faded. We can't, none of us can pull ourselves out of kind of some of the wounds that we bear. It's only our Creator who can do that. Kim, I see that you got a hand up.
When I was listening to your utterly beautiful and moving message, of course, I was thinking about the ghost dance, and the great hope that the people had of the ghost dance and that restoration that would come to them. And they didn't quite know what that was going to look like. But it also helped me to think about how, as you were describing, like the different layers, it was a multi-layered process of these bones coming back to life, and the breath of God, being so necessary. Without it, they're just still bones that may be in an upright position. There's an incredible amount of hope in that. And I found it comforting to listen to, because in my mind, in places of brokenness, I may think I know what restoration looks like, what it sounds like, what it looks like, who it includes. And when I read the Psalms and I see how God feels about the oppressor, it's another thing too. He just is not very impressed with them, so to speak. So it was good to listen to you to kind of bring all these things together. And I can't wait to think about them more deeply. So I appreciate your words that you shared with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura has something to say, and then we'll go to Karen after Laura.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for speaking with us. My question actually has to do with your help with the First Nations version. So I kind of have a two-part question.
Okay.
So part one is, in the efforts of translating or looking at concepts from the Hebrew perspective, life ways, language, the meaning of words, and then we have this other paradigm, in a sense, is our indigenous language, life ways, ways of how we interpret. So my two-part question is with those two distinct realms, let's say realms, is what do you see are like the benefits of that integration? And the second is, what are the challenges that you face in trying to have this integration done?
Wow. Those are some great questions. I hope I've understood them correctly. So I think one of the great benefits is that I'll just put it this way. I've spent a lot of time immersing myself not only in the Hebrew language, but in ancient Near Eastern culture and thought processes. And the people in Israel's world didn't think like people in our world today. But most of our Bible translations are written from a European civilization perspective. And so the translations of the concepts get filtered through all of these European kind of ideas and theological concepts and systematic paradigms of how we need to talk about Christianity and doctrine and teaching and all of this. And you may know, I mean, the Bible was used in many of the boarding schools as the means of civilizing indigenous minds to get people thinking like white settler America. So I think the real benefit, one of the real benefits of the First Nations version is not so much in the particularities of the words and the phrases, but and you all will know this far better than I, but picking up the ways of talking and thinking and speaking and living that are really, that that just as truly engage with the world of Israel and its way of thinking as do all of these modern translations that are mostly translated by old white guys like myself. So they're just, one of the things that just really excites me about this translation is when I hear it being read, I hear a completely different voice and way of thinking. Not completely different, but different enough that it unlocks meaning that I wouldn't have known apart from the translation, apart from seeing things this way. This is why I think, broadly speaking, this is why we Christians around the world need each other. We all bring gifts and perspectives out of the treasures of our own cultures. And if we can bring those all to a conversation about how the Bible speaks to us and guides us, rather than seeing the Bible as this book of commands or principles, but listen to I would love to see lots of other indigenous translations and put them into conversation. I think they would be wonderful. So, speaking to the challenge, in a sense, the challenge for me is just making sure that I'm thinking as faithfully and correctly as I can in the thought world and of ancient Israel, and then letting the translation council really decide how those concepts translate into indigenous ways of knowing and life ways and thought and thinking. So I'm excited about it. I think it's a beautiful piece of work and a real gift to Christians everywhere. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's answering what I heard.
Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Karen.
Daniel, I was listening on Facebook, and so I wasn't on the Zoom, but I was on Facebook and listening throughout the evening as I was involved in other things. But I just wanted to come on and say the concept. I mean, I love the prophets and the prophetic voice. But when you talked about that, Yahweh listened to the people, and at the end of this, he had all these layers, and then he listened to the people. And be interesting if they hadn't called out to Yahweh, would this prophecy have been there? And that whole interaction, that Creator doesn't oppress us in the desire to be in relationship with us. When you're setting an oppressed people free, sometimes we oppress to set the oppressed free, right? So we have this very weird way of doing this so often that we actually, and that Yahweh didn't do that. Yahweh heard their voice and set them free and brought them out of exile because they asked for it. Anyways, so that's, I'm not sure if that's really where you were going with that, but that's, as you were speaking, that's what I heard. And so I just really thank you for just putting those words in again and just hearing them. And I can't wait to see another, the first scriptures, the ancient words translated into an indigenous worldview. I hung out with the Inuit for a long time, and they taught me to read the scriptures again in a different way. And so it's powerful. Anyways, thank you.
Well, thank you. And I think that's what one of the beautiful things about this vision is that we know that maybe Creator's listening to us when we don't even think he's listening. And we don't even have to ask. So just this sense of attentiveness to what we're thinking and the things we're going through, I think is really powerful.
All right, we'll have Joe next, and then after Joe, we have a question from the Facebook live stream. So, Joe, you can go ahead.
Hello.
Hey.
You know, I was where my brain was going with the story anyway. Um, I was like thinking it's curious that in the story, like he's called to this cultural like faux pas of maybe he didn't pick them up, but handling like deceased, you know, and I'm assuming that that's alive and well in his time. I was just trying to think. I was trying to think of it like because you know, when someone has passed, there's a very like particular um, cultural things that you do. So I thought it was curious. Creator's call to him to enter uh, participate in something like that. So anyway, that's kind of where my brain went. I don't know if that
I think that's
makes
really
sense.
that's really perceptive. And I think that's the way when you read translations, they will say they put Ezekiel down. He set Ezekiel down into the bones. And if you're an Israelite priest, no way. No way. And we know that Ezekiel is not reluctant to say, God, don't make me do something that will defile me, because there's one, you maybe if you're familiar with the book, God tells Ezekiel at one point, he said, I want you to show the people a picture of what's going to happen to Jerusalem. And I want you to take human doo-doo and cook a meal over it. And Ezekiel says, wait a minute, God, you know, I have my limits. And God says, okay, well, then you can use cow chips instead. But so I think that's why it makes sense that Yahweh's keeping Ezekiel above it and circling around like a scavenger, rather than the way the translations put it, putting him right down in the bones, because that would just have caused his head to explode. That just, so I think where you're going is really those ideas, and particularly you don't touch dead things, particularly dead things that have been dead for a long time, because you know you'll get cooties, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
All right.
Think,
Oh, go ahead.
oh
Go ahead, Joe.
no, it's okay. Go ahead. I'm hitting mute now.
Oh, well, okay. Well, here's from Marty Phillips, Marty with an I, from the Facebook feed. She says, I'm always encouraged by what I read on Professor Hawk's page, but the live version with the music and the peaceful and unified atmosphere is very restorative. I thought both of the parallels to the historical forced removals, such as the Ponca removal that passed through this part of Nebraska on the way to Oklahoma, but I also relate viscerally to the idea of Creator wanting to tenderly hover over us as people, displaced in any respect, and bringing breath and vitality back into us. As someone who feels both physically and spiritually drained, I'm grateful for this place and was glad that I had the opportunity to be here. Better late than never tonight. That was kind of cool, different levels, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, if I may, I just want to say I've been richly blessed by everything that we did this evening. I mean, I'll have to say this, Brian, you started off with create in me a clean heart. I came to faith in Jesus. I became a follower during the Jesus movement. And that was an old song I remember. I think it was John Michael and Terry Talbot sang that song. And I thought, wow, I haven't heard that song in years, and it just took me back and it blessed me. And then to hear the insights on the alfalfa and the grain, and then to do the Lord's Prayer with sign language. Although I have to confess, I was a little afraid that I probably goofed something up, and I I said something like, I'd like to eat a furry beach ball or something like that. I don't know, but what, what a wonderful just banquet of blessing here.
Great. We appreciate you taking time this evening and spending the evening with us. And as we get ready for closure for this evening, we'd like to ask Brian and Leah to, they have another song for us, and then we'll have a send-off blessing from Joe. So again, if this is your first time attending, we're so thankful that you joined us, and we meet here every Wednesday. We meet here every Monday evening, 6 o'clock Mountain Time, and on Wednesday is the women's book study, and Sunday is the men's book study. So again, thank you for spending this evening with us, those of us that are here in person as well as in our virtual community. So may you all be blessed, and we'll again close out with a song and a sending off blessing. Thank you.
All right, we'll put the words up so you all can sing along. I just decided that I was going to try to do the guitar part on this and make Leah play the drum. And she picked up on it, fortunately, because we didn't say anything. But I don't know if I really remember the chords correctly. So if it gets dodgy, just keep plowing ahead. And, yeah. Yes, got our own choir. Yes,
got a dizzy tonight.
I want to see the jazz splits.
The power slide. I teach my nephew how to do a power slide.
Okay, Joe, can you please close us out with a send-off blessing?
Yeah. We thank our Creator for bringing to us and the words that you share in your heart, the words that you put together in you, and that you can just share those with us. I'll speak for the group, accept them, and my prayer is that that they would continue to teach us as we live our day today and in the next days, and that they would, like they do, they're living, right? So they are now a part of us. So thank you. Go in a good way, everyone.
Oh.
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 Hey, before we depart, I think we ought to acknowledge what an awesome job our MC Laura did for us tonight.
Thank you.
All right. And who do we got on tap for next week?
Oh, who is it again? Is
Is it Mr. Tinker?
Might be Tinker. Is he on the 8th? Okay, let's look at the calendar, and that would be.
Next week is Paul Flores.
Oh, Flores, that's right at the end of the Gathering Nations.
Yeah. All right. It's the Paul Flores.
So if you're in Albuquerque, stop by, see us, call us, text us, tell us you're in town, and enjoy your evening. And again, we give all the praise and glory to our Heavenly Father for tonight's service. Thank you. Bye.
Have a blessed week, everybody. That was really interesting what he said about prophets being a false prophet.
Oh yeah, that was very interesting. Yeah.
Becky Lee.